Hiya, Barbie.
Hi, Ken.
You want to go do a podcast?
Sure.
Jump in.
Ladies and gentlemen, fillies and gentlecolts, dragons of all ages, and everyone else, welcome to Pondering Pony. I'm your host, John, and with me I have my co-host, the great and powerful Jay. I don't have a quote for
Bring
this
me the
one.
broom of the Wicked Witch of the West.
Sure. Yes.
Pay no attention to the man behind the microphone.
Anyway, welcome to our bonus episode. Where we're going to be finishing off season 1 of Frontiers of Magic by giving our overall thoughts. Yes, welcome Patreons, or if you're on the YouTube later, welcome. Yeah, season 1, we've finished that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
1 out of
yeah.
9, right?
Yes,
Okay.
1 out of 9, and then there's all the other stuff. So
Yep.
still in our early days, but yeah, we finished a full season of the show. Yay! So, yeah. First off, going into the season, just remind us like what your thoughts and expectations were.
Oh, it's been a while. I should have re-listened to the episode we made. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what expectations I had beyond just being somewhat familiar with the show through osmosis. I obviously had ideas of what it was going to be. And I think a lot of those ideas were confirmed. Some of them not immediately. I think it has been less daunting of an experience than I had feared it would be. But I
Okay.
can't say I'm like fully on board with the show.
Okay, understood. Well, speaking of the show, we went through the first season, 26 episodes.
Yeah.
Any thoughts about that experience? Like you mentioned, it was less of a hassle than you thought it would be.
Yeah. I think it is very much a show for kids, and it has some more interesting writing going on, but it is still very much what it is. This isn't the most painful thing we have watched for the show. This isn't Barbie Dreamtopia, but there
Sure.
is still, this isn't quite Barbie Life at the Dream House Barbie either. Yeah, it's been mainly interesting just seeing what all of the fuss is about. And yeah, there's certain episodes and certain things that have stood out a little bit more, that I have enjoyed more. But yeah, no, it's been, it is a bit of an up and down with the show. I think a lot of it just depends on like my mood, when I sit
Mhm.
down to watch it, if I'm more in the mood for it, or if I'm just, watching this, because I have to. And to be honest, that is, if I wasn't watching this for the podcast, I probably wouldn't have gotten even through the entirety of season 1. But
Okay.
yeah, no, it's been an interesting experience.
Yeah. How would you describe like what season 1 is? Like what is it? What does it do?
Yeah, that's a hard question because I've only seen this first season, so I can't really compare it to what the other seasons are doing. Um, yeah, this has a lot of sort of introductory stuff. There's obviously the first couple episodes which set out the lore and explain all of the different characters and what their roles are. But even just like throughout the show, we are continuing to get episodes that are either sort of reestablishing the different personas of the characters, or we're getting a little bit of backstory. There's an entire episode that's backstory, which is, I think, one of the better episodes just because it has an interesting structure, even if it isn't, once you figure out where it's going, there isn't much of a twist involved. Yeah, I forget which episode exactly, which title that is, but you probably know.
Yeah, Keymark Chronicles, I assume.
Yeah, that would make sense. That sounds accurate.
Yeah, season 1, is a very foundational season. It's like it's the generic one. You're
Okay.
introduced to the main characters. They each have an episode where you get their personality. So it's set up. You get characters, you get the world, and yeah, that's it's interesting looking back on season 1 for me at least, because it's a very overlooked season, especially for newer fans who just go in with a full 9 seasons, because a fandom started with just these episodes, with just like the first couple episodes. So it's it's interesting because it feels weird because a lot of the newer fans just kind of refer to this season as like generic nostalgic garbage, but
Hmm.
older fans revere it so much so it's one of their favorites. Um, so yeah, the episodes, they are simple, they are foundational, but like they're so, because they're so foundational, they're very important for whatever comes to the future. Because when we get to the quote unquote peak moments, you couldn't have those peak moments without understanding the setup of these characters in the world itself. So it's like, why are you trashing on the opening and the foundation? Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm interested to see as this goes on and it sort of starts to cater a bit more to the Brony audience, what that's going to look like. Because I kind of get the sense of like, if done well, that is definitely going to make the show more interesting. But sometimes when a media property starts to cater a bit too much to the loudest of fans, you end up with something that's a little bit lesser quality. So I am curious to see as we go along and compare this to, as you say, the first season is sort of this foundation that, depending on when people started watching, it's either, this is either the whole show or it's this very early part of what ends up being quite a lengthy show.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I wonder if that's kind of, I the fandom that I'm more familiar with is the Star Wars fandom, and I think that attitude happens a lot around episode 4, since that was the first one, so it kind of established what a Star Wars movie is. That then, for people who are coming in later and maybe don't understand how
In that case,
revolutionary of a
much
thing it was,
much later, like
yeah,
30 years later.
yeah, it isn't as exciting as it was when it first came out, but there is something to its, like, when you watch it back, it's like, oh, this was the potential that was here, and the excitement and the sense of mystery and like the world building, and it feels like there's something around every corner, but you don't actually know what that something is. Whereas now it's like, oh, now there's a TV show explaining every detail for everything, or a movie or something that's gonna, you know the the universe has now been explored and expanded upon, and you lose a bit of that special sense of mystery. So I don't
Sure.
know if that's where Ponies is going, but I am curious to see. I mean, I kind of assume that's where it's going. That's the kind of, like, as a fandom becomes more vocal and more powerful, they start to demand answers to questions. And
Yeah,
so you
very
and
true.
sometimes those answers are like not as interesting as the questions themselves.
And sometimes you get no answers at all, depending on who's in charge.
Yep. Oh. Yeah, I just watched the film Jacob's Ladder, 1990 horror film. And like the first half of the movie, I'm like, oh, this is so good. And then you start to figure out like what's going on. It's like, oh, that's just not interesting. So yeah, we'll see how I feel about Ponies as we get into, once it starts answering some of the bigger stuff going on that we aren't as aware of.
Interesting. Okay.
Even just like
Um.
world building elements like that.
Hmm.
Like the ever free forest still feels, I don't know, dangerous isn't the right word because nothing in the show feels dangerous. But I imagine as the show goes on and we see more of the ever free forest, I assume that it's going to become less of a wild space
Hmm.
and more of like a yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. I didn't write notes for this, so I'm rambling a
No,
little bit.
that's fine. I find myself very often gravitated towards season ones of shows. Um, I like the setup of the worlds. I like seeing the initial footing that they tried to build. Controversially for me, season one of Agents of Shield is my favorite season of that show,
Okay.
and for most fans of that show, it's like the worst season.
Yeah. I can see because shows can sometimes refine and become better as the seasons go on, but sometimes the things that they double down on end up being the wrong things to have doubled down on.
Sure. I find it more of the case if I was there during season one from the beginning, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I saw how the show evolved, and I still prefer the feeling that I liked from the early days."
Yeah.
Um, Whereas if I've watched something like retrospectively, then I might not have that same connection because I didn't watch Smallville when it came out. I watched it, 10, 20 years later, and I liked the show overall, but I can't point out the specifics of season ones that make that better or worse.
Yeah.
Um, I wish I was around for season one when this came out. I didn't come in until season five, so I got to miss out on the early on the early
Yeah. Yeah.
um, fandom days, fandom controversies, the big moments, that are classic and I guess now almost getting forgotten. 15 years later, 16 years later, so but yeah, with after this first season, you have like a set up the world, you have like a base understanding of the characters and some of their wants and desires. So with that, what are you thinking going into season 2? What are you expecting?
Yeah. I'm curious how much the brony element of it all is going to play into things. Um, because I can see a world where the show starts to really cater to that, even just immediately in season two. Um, and that will definitely change the tone of things and the style of things. And I think we'll get more sort of high fantasy type stories as opposed to the slice of life type things that we've been seeing. Sort of, I mean, we've gotten a mix in season one of like adventure and fantasy and magic stuff versus like interpersonal drama stuff. So yeah, I'm curious to see what that balance becomes as the brony fandom looms larger and there's more of a desire for, lore and that kind of stuff. Um
Yeah, especially at this point, like the people making it are aware of this new fan group.
yeah.
They are aware that they are obsessed with like the background characters like Derpy. Um, Hasbro, they are aware they have a huge internal document where they collected the different artworks and different stuff um, that was leaked a couple years ago. I don't know if you peruse that
Yeah,
and
I
saw some of the
skimmed through
details.
some of it. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that's reflected in the show and how perceptions change once we get
Yeah.
further down the years.
It's interesting with like ongoing media like this as the fans start to have input, how the creative vision can kind of shift. And that can be a good thing and that can be a bad thing. And it really just depends on how the creators are approaching things.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I'm just kind of curious to see where this ship is headed. Is it going in the direction of, okay, the fans are kind of like pushing it to be a better version of itself, or is it the fans are kind of pushing it away from being what it should be into being something that's just kind of like very fan servicey?
Sure, sure. But going into season 2, what do you want to see from the show
um,
and from these characters?
yeah, I don't know. I don't know a good answer that's not like completely show breaking. I think I like when it bumps up against pre-existing mythology. I like when we get episodes that are kind of like playing around in different styles and different genres. So even though we're gonna talk about it, but the Over the Barrel episode is has some like major issues. But at the same time, I think taking these characters into a Western setting, that's like a fun idea. I hope we see more of that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see more of my favorite characters and less of my least favorite characters. But
Okay.
yeah, I feel like the Cutie Mark Crusaders are here to stay. So I don't think that's going to be a thing that's going to happen.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into some things here. Uh, yeah, we're gonna list out some things. First up, some of the people who worked on the show, and it's a name that we have not, said in our episodes is that there is a story editor for the show, and his name is Rob Renzetti. I may not fully know what a story editor does, but they are what help keep things together and
Yeah.
connected.
Looks like he worked on Gravity Falls as a supervising producer and director and story editor for season 1.
Well, yeah, we have writers in this show, and here's a list of them. So there were 8 writers. First up, we have Lauren Faust, who was part of 3 episodes. Then we have Amy Keating Rogers, who wrote 6 episodes. Cindy Morrow with 4 episodes. Chris Savina with 2 episodes. Megan McCarthy with 4 episodes. Charlotte Fullerton with 3 episodes. Dave Polsky with 2 episodes. And M.A. Larson with 3 episodes. So, yeah. I mentioned in earlier episodes, but yeah, I tend to gravitate towards Larson, maybe McCarthy episodes, and
Okay.
Rogers. I mean, I like most of these people, so
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious as we're going along if I'm going to start to clock more who the writer for different episodes is. Because
mhm.
so far that hasn't really been something that has been front of mind while I've been watching.
Yeah. Normally, you don't think about something like that, and it wasn't really until being part of this fandom and then people talking about their favorite writers that I started to look into it and be like, oh yeah, I like this writer, and then as like list of like, oh, this writer's doing the upcoming episodes. I'm like, okay, that should be something to look forward to. Um, I miss those days. Anyway, episodes. Yeah, again, 26 episodes. We're gonna be talking about our top 3 and bottom 3. We'll have some overlap, but yeah, Jay. You've seen this season once, so yeah. What would be your top 3 episodes?
Yeah. So I approached this. I didn't do a whole lot of thinking, just like which ones jumped out to me immediately as I was looking through the list of episodes. So there are other episodes that I enjoyed to some extent or another. But for my top 3, I went with Sonic Rain Boom, which is written by M.A. Larson. Dog and Pony Show, written by Amy Keating Rogers, and Dragon Shy, written by Megan McCarthy. I think Sonic Rain Boom does a really good job with finding interesting ways to explore the characters in an interesting situation to put them in. Both obviously Rainbow Dash as the sort of central character here, and then also Rarity kind of has her own little mini Icarus arc that she goes through. Um, yeah, we're getting to a different location, which is always fun. Cloudsdale, which is sort of Greek mythology inspired. Yeah, I think it is a well written episode that does interesting things with the characters. Dog and Pony Show, again, we're getting a new location here. We're in these like mines and tunnels and stuff underground. Are they diamond dogs?
Yeah, Diamond Dogs.
They're kind of fun antagonists just visually. And this is very much a Rarity focused episode, and she's my favorite of the main 6. So this feels like the one where she gets to shine the most, though she does have several episodes that she gets to shine. And then yeah, Dragon Shy, that's just like I didn't go with the season premiere episodes just kind of intentionally because I think those are very different from all of the other episodes in a
It
way that
almost
one,
feels like kind of cheating to do
yeah,
that because
yeah,
they put more epicness into those. So
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, Dragon Shy has sort of that fantasy adventure element that I was more interested in the first couple episodes. Yeah, I wasn't really sure. I almost put the owl episode here
Hmm.
mainly because I really like the way that they do nighttime, and I think the owl design is fun. And I realized that's not a good reason to put an episode at the number 3 spot here. So well, with Dragon Shy is just like it represents a lot of what I like about the show,
Hmm.
and as well as not having some of the stuff that I dislike about the show in as heavy because there's also I also considered putting the or not basilisk, whatever they call it, um that episode, the Stairmaster, I think it is,
Sure. Yeah.
because that one I like elements of it, but that one also has the Cutie Mark Crusaders in it, so that's knocks a few points off of it in my book. Whereas Dragon Shy has a lot of those fantasy adventure and mythical creature elements, but doesn't include the Cutie Mark Crusaders. So yeah,
Okay. Looking at these top three, it's like, yeah, it's totally something you'd say. Like,
okay.
going back and editing these episodes, I'm like, oh yeah, these are what I think he would choose. It's like, oh yeah, Dog and Pony Show makes sense. Dragon Chai, yeah, makes sense. Sonic Rambo, of course, we've talked about that. But yeah, going on to your bottom three here.
Yeah. So again, I didn't put a ton of thought into this. These were just the ones that jumped out to me. Call of the Cutie is here, kind of representing all of the various Cutie Mark Crusader episodes. I think this one is the one I found the most irritating with the fewest redeeming qualities. But honestly, I don't. I I can't remember which Cutie Mark Crusader episode is which. So this one is just kind of here for all of them. A
Okay.
Bird in the Hoof. This one might just be recency bias because we did talk about it more recently than other things. It has an interesting concept, but then just gets very repetitive in what it's doing.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
the same bit repeated over and over and over again. And then Over a Barrel, I went back and forth
Obvious.
between this one and the one where they introduced Zakora, and I was actually going to swap
Okay.
this one out for that one, um, but then I forgot to do it. And then you have the writer here and everything, so I thought, okay, well, I'll just leave this. The reason for that is just that I think both episodes have kind of similar. I think Over the Barrel has worse politics behind it, but they both have kind of that similar Obama era misapplication of political concepts thing going on. But Over the Barrel, I maybe give a few extra points for having an interesting setting that we haven't seen before.
It's also very funny as well. It's just
Yeah,
unfortunate that the idea that they went was just the story, the idea that they
yeah,
went.
yeah, yeah.
So it's, yeah, it is an obvious candidate, but yeah, it is very funny as well. Yeah, like looking over this, I was like, putting Call of the Cutie as a bottom three is an absolutely wild choice, but like it, knowing what you're just saying is that you're just putting that for like the Cutie Crusaders. It's like, okay, that makes sense for you. Um, yeah, that was like the one thing about this show. It was like, okay, I'm not sure if Jay's gonna be behind Cutie Crusaders. And this is the first time in all the episodes that you've talked about them negatively, so
Oh, I I would
that's
have assumed
very
otherwise.
interesting.
I
So
thought when we did this episode, I talked about how I was a little. Maybe I didn't. I
no,
I
you
am not.
didn't.
I am not on board for these
I've been waiting
children.
for this opinion for so long. And I was like, oh, maybe Jay's actually warming up to them. But no, you just kept it inside you. Okay.
Yeah, I think there are. I do find elements of what they're doing occasionally endearing, like their whole show. Like the reason that episode isn't here when they put on the big show and it goes wrong, like that's a fun situation to have them in.
Mm-hmm.
They're just kind of, to me, they're like the episodes of Star Wars The Clone Wars that are about the droids, where I'm
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
I just don't care, and I find
Okay.
these characters vaguely annoying.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
makes
Yeah.
sense. You're probably a percentage that would say the same. Yeah, because Call of the Cutie, I feel like is usually in people's top tens overall for this
Okay.
season.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, this
It
is the
doesn't
one where
surprise me
they
that
it's
people
the one where
who
they
are
introduced the
less
cutie marks
popular.
and we're pretty much following Apple Bloom and where we're introduced to the other characters. So
Yeah.
there's more going on there. But yeah, your explanation makes much more sense. It was like, oh, that's a choice. Going over my top three, bottom three. Top three, like I think about top three all the time, or just like what are my top ones all the time. So top
Yeah.
three, Party of One by Megan McCarthy. It's the one where Pinkie Pie goes crazy.
Oh
um,
yeah. Yeah.
I mean that's me. But like over the past couple of years, I've grown to appreciate it for a different angle with like more so understanding Pinkie Pie on why she goes crazy than just she goes crazy. Um,
If I were a bigger fan of Pinkie Pie, this episode would have made my top 3. I think
sure.
it is a well done episode. I'm just not fully on board with Pinkie Pie as a character at this point.
Or if you were like a person who likes sadistic things happening to cute things. um, so yeah. Next one, Sonic Boom. I mean, yeah, that's an obvious candidate. It's the Sonic Boom. It's a cool concept. Rainbow does a thing. That's a Larson episode. And the other one I have is Cutie Mark Chronicles, another Larson episode. I just like seeing the backstory of how each of them got their cutie marks, and it's tied together by an overall connection that's interesting to see. So
Yeah.
yeah.
This is another one that as I was looking through the list, I was like, oh, this is doing something interesting on a story level that kind of makes it stand out. But again, as a Cutie Mark Crusaders episode, it's already a little bit not that high in my books. And then also, once you understand the direction in which it's going, there isn't a ton of surprise here. So
Hmm.
even though I do appreciate seeing the backstories and how they all tie together, um, I think I was starting to get a little bit bored of it by the end.
Yeah. Going into my bottom three, like of this season, like I don't think for me at least there's an obvious episode that I don't like. I enjoy most of these episodes. Later seasons there are definite episodes that I don't like. So usually for me it's like the ones that I don't find interesting or kind of find a little boring to rewatch. So bottom three, I have Fall Weather Friends by Amy Keating Rogers. Really, I've said before, it's like it's a lot of them doing running, and I don't really care for that. The fall aspect is pretty fun, but
Yeah.
outside of that, it wasn't my thing. Wasn't my thing. All's Well That Ends Well by Cindy Morrow. Um, it's it's an episode. Yeah, I can't really describe to you. It's just like, yep, it's a Spike episode. He does the jealousy arc. Not a bad arc, but I, for me at least, it's not one of my favorites. And lastly, Griffin the Brush Off, which is just prank stuff. Not really a big fan of. It's a fine episode. Another Cindy Morrow. Poor Cindy Morrow. Um, the obvious one is Over a Barrel because of those reasons, but it's again because it's so funny. I don't have that. Yeah. Anyway,
No, it is interesting. Is there like a general consensus best episode of the show? Like if you were to do a poll of fans
a best episode
of this season.
of this season, probably Sonic Rainboom.
Okay. And then worst
Probably.
episode, I'm assuming Over the Barrel tends to.
Yes. Or yeah, it's usually Over a Barrel or All's Well That Ends Well. It's
Okay.
it's because Spike episodes
Yeah.
usually don't do well with adult fans
Okay.
for
That I
reasons.
mean that makes sense. That is the stuff in the episode I don't like, and that's most of the episode. I just really like the way that they do nighttime with the like purple, deep purple sky and the
Yeah.
stars,
Yeah.
and then
That's
also
fun.
the owl character is very cute.
Moving on to songs, there were 17 songs in this. And they are the theme song, the laughter song, Piggy Pie's fantasy song for the gala, the ticket song, Hop, Skip, and a Jump, Evil Enchantress, both versions, Winter Wrap Up, Cupcake Song, Art of the Dress, Hush Now Lullaby, both versions, Kingdom Crusaders song, You Gotta Share, You Gotta Care, So Many Wonders, Pinkie Pie Singing Telegram, At the Gala, I'm at the Grand Gambling Gala, and then Pony Pokey. 17, technically 19, with 3 full length songs. The rest are like Pinky Jingles or really short stuff. So,
Yeah.
yeah, any standouts if you can remember?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think the winter wrap up as like and the at the gala, those are more sort of musical styled songs. Those kind of I I, I enjoyed those maybe more than the Pinky Jingles. I will
Sure.
say I hadn't really thought about it until you're reading these out. It is weird that the show is not generally a musical but will have these musical numbers, and it doesn't feel like it breaks with the reality of the world. Maybe that's just because, like, as a kids cartoon, that is within the realm of things that are possible to happen. But like, a lot of these songs are not really diegetic. Or I guess most of these songs are diegetic because they're the Pinky Jingles. But like Winter Wrap Up and At the Gala are not necessarily diegetic in that same way.
Meaning what? They
Oh,
aren't
that
actually singing
yeah,
or
yeah.
what?
Diegetic means it happens within the world of the film or the piece of media. So like when winter wrap up is happening, it's not that the ponies are singing winter wrap up at the moment. It is winter wrap up is a song that is happening that is like expressing the emotions that the ponies are feeling. As opposed to like when Pinkie Pie goes up on stage and sings the you gotta share, you gotta care. Where that's like, no, that's actually happening within the reality of the show.
That is an interesting theory.
I mean, it's hard to say. It's more so the style than like the actual whether it is literally happening or not within the show.
Sure. I mean, they'll joke about it sometimes, so
Yeah,
we'll see when we get there.
yeah. It's hard to say with kids cartoons in that way, but yeah, that was just kind of how I was thinking of it.
Hmm. Yeah, my favorites of like the songs here were probably "Art of the Dress" or "At the Gala" and "Winter
Okay,
Wrap Up." I mean, those are the top 3.
yeah.
So of course,
I noticed an interesting thing, which I didn't listen to any of these, but the DVD that I have comes with audio commentary on different episodes, and almost all of the episodes with commentary are the ones with the big songs.
okay.
So I was a little bit curious. I wonder if part of that is like those are the episodes that people tend to like more, and if the songs sort of because those end up on playlists, people tend to listen to them over and over again, so they're thinking of these episodes more and more fondly, or if it's just like coincidence, or maybe those are the episodes that since they have songs got a little bit more time and attention,
Hmm.
so that's what the creators actually wanted to do audio commentary for.
Moving on to a character overview of the season, because it's the first season, we kind of have to go through almost everyone. Um, are just the notable ones. So starting up with the main characters, I of course created a cheat sheet for you. So these are slides from the cheat sheet. I put little jokes in there, starting with Twilight Sparkle, of course. She's a unicorn. She's part of the main 6. She's Celestia's student. Uh, she's book obsessed. Is she Spike's mother?
Presumably not, because she's a little bit young to be a mother, I think, although I don't know what any of these ponies ages are or
See,
how age works
that's
in
that's a point of contention. Um,
I feel like
especially
for
in the
fandom purposes they're all over the age of 18.
I think what they've said is that Twilight is the youngest one,
That
so
makes sense since she's still kind of
she
in school.
is 18 or something. Yeah,
Uh,
we know that Fluttershy is a year older than Pinky. All right,
so 19.
Remadash. Yeah, something Rainbow Dash, Pegasus, element of loyalty, weather pony, athletic, nothing there. She lives in the Cloud Dominium.
Yep.
Yep, yep. Pinkie Pie, again, party planner, obsessed with the joy of others. She lives at the Sugar Cube corner. Rarity, unicorn, fashion designer, elegant, aristocracy obsessed. Other attributes you want to add to that?
I don't know. I think that's basically it. She's very much a diva.
Fluttershy. Um, she is not a tree. Thing to point out. She's
Very
the element of
important
kindness.
distinction.
She's an animal caretaker, or in other words, she's unemployed. She's shy. She lives at her cottage with a bunny. Last of the main six, we have Applejack. She's the element of honesty. She's a farmer, reliable, apples obsessed. Is she an orphan?
Okay, have we met her pet dog that you have listed
Yes.
here?
Yes, we've met her pet dog, Winona, in
Okay.
like the first couple episodes, and then we haven't really seen in a while. The
Okay.
pets will like disappear for a long period of time until they randomly appear again. So
I mean, it's the classic toy thing of like, hey, we need each of our characters to have a small animal that we can package along with them.
but did they package? I don't think they did.
I mean, if they did it, then that's a missed opportunity merchandise wise. But
There's plenty of missed opportunity in merchandise in this show.
I
Um,
mean, yeah, that is also like the communication between the story department and the marketing department isn't always gonna be complete.
mhm. Yeah, and like we've said, my favorite of the main six is Fluttershy. Um, I like Rainbow from a fan interpretation and like a Brit series. And Twilight, of course, she's the audience surrogate, so she's fun. And Applejack's like a reliable choice. You are on the opposite spectrum, though, in that.
Yep. Rarity is my favorite. Yeah, I don't know if I have as much of a second favorite at this point in the show.
Okay.
I think I had one earlier on, but now as I've gotten to know the characters more, it's like, okay. I mean, maybe Applejack to a certain extent.
Moving on, we have Spike, who is Twilight's assistant. He's a baby dragon. Rarity obsessed. Voice of reason, sometimes later on. I don't know if we've gotten there yet. Is he Twilight's kid? Maybe. Who knows? But he's also the cartoon punching bag in that he often gets abused for physical comedy purposes. So,
Yeah.
then we have the CMC starting with Apple Bloom, Earth Pony, Applejack's sister, Kitty Mark. We've yet to see their parents. So, is she an orphan? Maybe. We have Sweetie Belle, Rarity's sister, musically talented of the three, it seems. Then we got Scootaloo, who is a chicken. Uh, we don't know what her family relation is. We've never seen them. So is she an orphan? Who knows? Uh, she likes Rainbow Dash, it seems. We've yet to see her fly, so she's young. She seems to be like a daredevil stunt person.
Yeah.
We've never seen where she lives, so is she homeless? Does she have a house? Who knows? The choices are yours.
I would not be surprised if there are answers to a lot of these questions eventually.
Sure. If there's answers, eventually. And then last of like the main one, we have Princess Celestia. She's an alicorn, the ruler of Equestria. Twilight's mentor, at least 1,000 years old. She gives quests. She's a troller sometimes. She's the
Yeah.
princess.
Yeah. Sort of the wise mentor, ruler figure of the show.
Now to like other notable characters that the fans have like attached themselves to. We have Princess Luna, who was a former reformed villain who was Nightmare Moon. Like Celestia, she is ancient. She was very lonely being on the moon. Uh, she's a fandom favorite. This Luna in particular. Like she only appeared in one episode, but the fans really liked her in that. I think because they like that she's a fish out of water. You know, she's been in prison
Yeah.
for 1,000 years. They're like, oh, what is her perspective of coming to the pony modern world? So there's lots of like comics and artwork of her like reacting to modern stuff. So it's just like, oh, she's shocked by a toaster. And I think the consensus for her is that she's a gamer because
Huh.
she's the nighttime one, so she stays up all night gaming, I guess.
Makes
But
sense.
yeah, yeah. Any thoughts on her since we've only seen her in the first episode and have yet to see her again?
I mean, I assume she's going to play a bigger role as the show goes on. I mean, maybe not, but the way you are talking about her makes me think so.
Sure,
And just like the way she was set up.
sure. Uh, yeah. Moving on to background ponies. Of course, we have Derpy Hoop. She's the Pegasus. She's got the derpy eyes. She's a male pony who delivers mail and doesn't always do it correctly, as we see her drop stuff sometimes. Of course, she's a fandom favorite and she likes muffins. I point her out every episode. Then we have the Doctor Hoobs, just like a random brown pony that had a hourglass cutie mark. Is he a Time Lord? Is he Doctor Who? Is he a scientist? Who knows? But he's a fandom favorite. And sometimes in fan work, he gets paired with Derpy because she's blonde and looks like a character from the show. So
Okay.
there's a whole audio drama series of them going on adventures.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Fandom.
there's so much fandom stuff. Like Lyra Heartstrings, who is a unicorn, and because her first appearance was her sitting down on a bench, they're like, oh, she must be an anthropologist who's like obsessed with human culture. There's a song about that. Uh, and she is often paired with Bonbon or Sweetie Drops, depending on whatever thing. She's another background pony, and she's often paired with Lyra in the background, so shippers will ship those two. Next up, Vinyl Scratch or DJ Pone 3, which was the DJ pony that we saw in one episode that had like the spiky blue hair and just white that just I don't know, seemed interesting. Uh, Unicorn DJ Pony. She doesn't speak at all, so she's a mute, it seems. And she is, of course, a fandom favorite. And yeah, there's more to talk about her later on because, like, she was very influential in fandom work itself
Okay.
and had a fandom voice actor who made the character even more popular. And she's paired with Octavia, the one that we saw in the last episode we saw, who is
Yeah.
the cellist. She's a cello player, elegant. Another fandom favorite, mostly because she's paired with Octavia. I think they consider them like roommates from college or something. um, Shippers will ship, of course.
Yeah.
A couple more. We have Colgate or Minuet. It was just this blue pony with like hair that looked like toothpaste. So they're like, Colgate, the brand. We'll name that one after that. Is she a dentist? Only in the fandom. She's one of the friends that spoke to Twilight in the first episode that we'll never see again. She's a fandom favorite. Last up, we have Berry Punch or Berry Shine. Earth Pony, is she an alcoholic? We saw her drink the punch that one time. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Other ponies I've not listed here. Of course, Trixie, Zakora, all the special guest ones that are there and fun and all that. Anything that strikes you or not?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I have taken to any of the background ponies the way that some people have. I'm not surprised a lot of these are sort of visually distinct in a way that I understand why people have sort of gravitated towards them.
Tumblr, I think, really helped with that because
I
I
mean,
believe,
Doctor Who being there, so yeah, that
yeah,
makes
of
sense.
course, but also like I think during the period where the show wasn't airing, Tumblr AMAs were a thing where like they would just do these characters answering questions for
Yeah.
the heck of it, and that helped create these random interpretations. But yeah, moving on to see for stuff about season one. Stuff that's really ever talk about is that there are unused episode concepts for this season. So yeah, starting up with season one. First one is "Fancy Meeting You, Dear." This can be found in the mini Bible somewhere. But yeah, here's the concept. There's been a strange figure appearing in the woods that appears from afar to be a mysterious pony with antlers. Curious and eager for adventure, Ramondash wrangles up some of the girls to investigate, and what they find is a herd of talking cutie mark dawning forest deer who speak and adorn themselves like the Native Americans of the Northeast.
Oh
They
boy.
fi- yeah, they find that the pony is their adoptive son, and a pony who does not know he is not a deer, even though his antlers are obviously sticks. His deer family
Oh,
dance
oh.
around the subject like it's a okay. Can the ponies convince the deer pony of who he really is and convince him to come back to Philadelphia with him, or should they? Okay. Um,
That's a choice.
yeah. I can somewhat see why this wasn't chosen. Or no, they probably were just ignorant of that. Uh, it was one of the first 9 episodes initially planned for the show prior to October 2009. It was first listed as a mid-season episode, number 13, in the writing schedule on October 13. Then it was pushed back 3 positions, kept moving back. Dave Polsky, oh my gosh, wrote the first outline in January 6, 2010. The script was scheduled to be submitted by February, voice recording in March, storyboarding in April. However, in January 2011, plans fell behind and the episode was removed from the schedule, and it's been replaced by Feeling Pinky Keen. And then it was reinstated in January to be episode 20, uh, and then it just removed and was canceled. Honestly,
I like your
yeah.
editorializing that of removing but sadly the episode was removed again.
Did I say that?
No, you skipped the sadly part.
Oh, I didn't see that. Um, Dave Polsky, man, poor guy, having to write the episodes with the stuff like seeing deer. That would be interesting, but man, uh, again,
Yeah.
another story thing. Yeah, the deer I don't think ever show up in the show or any form of deer.
Okay. I was
However,
gonna say that's a little unfortunate because it would be neat to see them, but given how they handled the buffalo, I think that might be for the better.
for the better. There are the show did have comics that did air. They were like done by a different team of people. So deer do appear in those comics, and I think they just take those deers. Um, I don't think the story is. I've not read it, but I don't think the story is like offensive as the Ouroboros one. I've not heard people talk about it, so
Yeah.
I can't really say. Bring on the thunder. Uh, Okay. So little Scootaloo has a new plan for obtaining her cutie mark and finally learning how to fly. Okay, so that's not really established in this show yet, so I had to point out that she didn't fly. Have you noticed that at all?
Yes. I clocked that you said that.
Okay. Uh at the time in the first season at least, it was just that she was too young and she hadn't grown to her flying length. Over the years, however, that the reason has changed because of reasons. All right, moving on. And Ramodash has agreed to help her. However, Rainbow has a bit of a brain fart in her planning. For that very day is the day that the Blue Thunder, which I guess was the precursor to the Wonderbolts, they will be in town for a show. And now Rainbow Dash wants nothing more to become a Blue Thunder, and this opportunity to impress them is too hard to pass up. Rainbow, being the slightly irresponsible pony that she is, puts her priority on showing off. But every time Rainbow Dash pulls off an impressive maneuver, the Thunders just happen to be looking the other way. In the meantime, Scootaloo tries to accomplish her goals on her own, which is really, really bad because Scootaloo is attempting the Articuno for daredevil stunts. And of course, just when Rainbow Dash is about to pull off her most spectacular move of the Blue Thunder's undivided attention, little Scootaloo shoots herself out of a poorly constructed cannon and flies past Rainbow, yelling for help. In midair, Rainbow has to decide whether to ruin her one chance with the Thunders or save her little friend, who wouldn't need saving if Rainbow had just been responsible. Okay. Obviously, she saves Scootaloo, but she severely botches her landing and it blows with the Thunders. Still, Rainbow is happier she saved her friend and is left with an important lesson. Let's just hope. Okay. Let's just hope she remembers it. Man, whoever wrote that outline must be really salty about Rainbow Dash.
Oh boy.
It was planned prior to October, listed as number 15. And it was removed by February 20, January 2010, and replaced by No Talent Show, which I think was renamed to the Showstoppers. So
Okay.
that one. Would you like to read the next one for me?
Sure. Yeah, we are on Nothing More to See / Stormy Weather, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, the ponies go on vacation to the beach only to find that the tide has gone so unusually far out it has uncovered a portion of the kingdom of the sea ponies.
Oh.
Yeah, that's neat. Would have been neat to see that. Dried up and languishing in the sun, the once lush, beautiful city of the sea is quickly turned to ruins. Twilight, having just learned some special water magic for the trip, helps her friends enter the ocean where they meet the sea ponies and find that the selfish, monstrous sea serpent, the Kraken, is hoarding half the water of the sea for his underground home and is taking more and more every hour. Can the ponies team up with the sea ponies to get the ocean back from the Kraken? I assume not. This is probably the one episode where they're unable to achieve their task and it ended poorly.
Yeah, that's where they all died. Yeah, this sounds more another adventure episode that the show, it
Yeah,
seems like they really wanted to be. This sounds fun. Sea
yeah.
ponies, the
Of
Kraken.
of the episodes thus far, this is the one that I would be most interested in seeing. I hope they bring it back in a later season, but based on the way you're talking about it, I assume not really. But yeah, that looks like this was initially one of the first 9 episodes planned, but then as the other ones got um, pushed back and then eventually canceled.
Was entirely
Yeah.
canceled and replaced by another planned episode titled Stormy Weather. Okay. So Stormy Weather is focused on Remadash losing her confidence and control of the weather. That's all the premise goes. So
Okay.
it was listed as number 24 with a premise due by February. And was canceled. So who goes it was replaced by Who Goes There, which is Ours Well That Ends Well.
Okay.
A Day to the Dance. Oh boy. Um, Rumor has it that Big Apple or Big Macintosh has a ticket for the Grand Galloping Gala, and all of a sudden, all 5 of Applejack's best friends want to ask him to be their date. Oh boy. Okay, the idea of her brother and any of her friends going on a date is just too weird for Applejack, and she forbids her friends from asking out her brother. When that doesn't work, Applejack is torn in 5 directions at once, trying to physically keep them all from getting with earshot of Big Apple. Man, okay. I'm glad this one wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Big Mac and the main 6 don't make sense to me. One of the first planned episode, okay, would have been number 14. Rejected more than a week later on November. Okay. And then
Yeah,
the
sounds
last
like it
one.
didn't get that far in development.
Right, last one. Why don't you read this one?
Yeah, I can read the last one here. So yeah, this is called Label Pain. Spike belches up a panicked message from the princess. She desperately needs Twilight to take over a public works project on the outskirts of Canterlot. Seems that the current team of
Beevorks.
Beevorks, half beaver, half ogre. Oh, I see orc,
Okay,
ogre. Okay, I see what they're doing there. Are
I
doing a
see.
crappy job constructing a dam on the river that supplies the capital city with its water supply. Twilight brings Applejack and Rarity as her team. Um, Applejack is her engineer. She has a lot of experience planning and building on the farm, and Rarity is there to make sure the design is aesthetically pleasing. But when they get there, the Beaverox won't. Beevorks, the
Beevorks.
beavers, won't listen to Applejack, Rarity, or Twilight. They think anyone who talks like Applejack must be dumb, and they assume Rarity is a prissy snob. So there,
Okay.
that's kind of the two ends of the spectrum. So if you don't like either end, then what are you going to do? Um, they also don't need a weak egghead like Twilight telling them how to build practical, real world things. And after the beavers continually undermine the ponies' efforts due to their ignorance, the dam starts to fall apart and threaten Canterlot. The ponies use their unexpected
Okay.
skills
Unexpected
to
skills.
save the capital and prove the beaver arcs that their stereotyping was unfounded. The pig-headed Beevorks team learn not to, sorry, I'm not wearing my glasses, learn not to pigeonhole others, and the ponies learn not to let others' false perceptions of you keep you away from achieving your goals. My goals, not their
Okay.
goals.
I guess. Yeah. Yep. That's interesting.
uh, yep.
I get another sort of fantasy creature that they're trying to do.
Yeah, just do beavers.
Just do
Also, yeah,
beavers.
the idea of the episode is like, not that there aren't episodes that are a little trite, but this one feels more trite than a
Yeah.
lot of the episodes we did get. I can see why this one was rejected.
It was planned in February. It did not move into production. Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Of these, I really like Nothing More to See. I wanted
Yeah.
this. Yeah, sea ponies. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Yeah, I don't know how the fandom would have reacted to sea ponies if they were in season one, because the sea ponies were like the worst thing ever back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Some of these some aspects of these ideas I think I enjoy. Some of them seem familiar to later stuff, but yeah, these stories don't happen.
Okay.
For better, for worse,
A
only you
little
can
bit of both.
decide. Yeah, yeah. It's interesting to see this thing. Deer, kraken, sea ponies, beevorks were the new things.
Yeah.
It would have explained that Scootaloo doesn't fly yet, which I don't think the show explains. It's just something you observe.
Yeah.
That's what I have for this document. I don't know if you have anything you want to add culturally, anthropology, if you have anything to add.
Yeah, I don't know that I have anything that hasn't come up in the episodes previously. Obviously, I'm going to try and find stuff as we get into season 2, though I do think now that we've done a full season, I think it's maybe going to slow down a little bit with new insights on my part. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, yeah. That's it for our bonus episode. And yeah, thanks for listening. And of course, we assume you're already doing this, but yeah, make sure to follow us on social media. We're Binging Barbie Podcast on Instagram and Tumblr, Binging Barbie on Blue Sky, and serialized and Binging Barbie, a Barbie movie podcast on Letterboxd. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave a 5-star review and go join our Patreon at patreon.com/Binging Barbie Podcast. And yeah, we'll be moving on to season 2. So yeah, check those episodes when it comes out. Remember, watch the reactions if you have nothing else to do. And yeah, thanks for the first season so far.
Yeah. Bye, ponies.
My ponies. Moving on.